All right, we'll get started. I hope you enjoyed our wonderful silent opening music. My name is Nicole Love. I'm the product manager for Niagara Cloud Suite. And before we get started today, I have a few people I want to introduce to you. Some of them will be behind the scenes today. And then, of course, um, I will be with one of my favorite people to present with, Kevin Mamajek. He'll be showing you a demo of you get an inside track and inside sight into how Niagara Data Service works, and especially our latest feature that we just released, the ability to utilize our live read and write APIs. So first up, I will introduce you, I'll allow some members of my team to introduce themselves. Gurinder.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Gurinder. I am part of the product team. I work alongside with Nicole. I take care of the backend work, be it Cloud Link or any kind of API stuff. So welcome to the Tridium Talk today.
Awesome. Sachita.
Hi everyone, this is Suchita Ravi. I work for the product team, along with Nicole and Gurinder. I do take care of backend teams and the UI team. So all the lovely UIs you see, it's us. And welcome to Tridium Talk.
Awesome. All right. So a couple of other people are really behind the scenes that you probably never get to see unless you were at Niagara Summit and you saw at least one of them on the platform. They're some of the developers. So Craig and Vidya, you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, I'm Craig Gemmel. Been a engineer with Tridium for quite a while and been on our cloud team for since the beginning of it. So looking forward to hearing what Kevin and Nicole are showing and hopefully answering as many of your questions as we can.
Vidya?
I am Vidya. I'm part of Tridium engineering team. I work on Niagara Cloud, and I hope you enjoy your Tridium talk today.
And I don't think I have to introduce Kevin Mamajek to you guys. He's well renowned. You know him far before I even joined the Tridium team, but you'll get a chance to hear from him later. I wanted to introduce my team and then as well as our key developers because there'll be ones that are behind the scenes. We want you guys to ask questions, and there'll be the names that pop up in the chat answering your questions as you have them. So feel free as we're going along. Any questions that you have, just feel free to drop them in Q&A and they'll be helping to answer those. And whatever questions we don't get a chance to get answered in here, of course, they'll be made available later. So let's get started. All right, so if this is your first time hearing about Niagara Cloud Suite, then let me just tell you in general what it is. In Niagara Cloud Suite, you can read the slides, I'll talk, we don't have to read those. But in general, Niagara Cloud Suite is our solution of how we're extending the Niagara framework to the cloud. And so it goes in line with everything that Tridium believes in, with making sure that we give you the tools and integration tools that you need to be able to do and make all the great solutions that you have, except now with the next generation of all technology being able to use the scalability that comes with cloud. That is what we're going to be providing to you and what we have been providing you with our 3 primary services. Now, the prerequisites to that, you need to be on a supported version of Niagara, and you have to have an active SMA. Why would you use Niagara Cloud Suite? Well, it really is simple. Like what we've designed is intended to be able to help you. So we offer you a way to be able to get that a trusted source of your building data in the cloud, so you can utilize our APIs, and you can bring that to your own cloud applications, or you can create your own custom dashboards using Niagara Data Service. You can save any of the time that you typically would lose for rebuilding systems or keeping up with thumb drives or managing your laptops, however you do your backup strategy now, by leveraging that offsite capability and scalability that comes with cloud. And you get a chance to do that to strengthen your disaster recovery plan using Niagara Recover. And then Niagara Remote, which was our latest like complete release, was Niagara Remote that released back in February. That reduces your on-site troubleshooting. So you could reduce some of the truck rolls. You can more efficiently determine who rolls out, who needs to go to a truck roll by using the remote connectivity that comes with Niagara Remote. So if you think about everything that I've said and what you've seen or what you'll see, is that we really are providing you a cloud native tool set that you can use to just functionalize, maybe shift some of those resources. Maybe you have engineering resources that are working on trying to solve some of the same problems that we're giving you through Niagara Data Service. And now you don't have to manage those engineering resources anymore because we've done a lot of that work for you, and you can just utilize the APIs that we have available. So it allows you to be able to use to really be more productive with it. Same thing that comes with Niagara Recover and Remote. Sure, you have other solutions that you might have to be able to back up or have remote connectivity, but without needing any additional gateways, without having to have anyone that requires that extra skill set that comes along with understanding how do you set up a VPN and maintain a VPN, who's gonna manage that storage that comes along when it comes to your backup. We've taken care of all that. And we believe that we're some of the best people to do it, because if you're here, that means that you are already aware and are leveraging the power of the Niagara framework. So who better to give that to you than us? So we want to be able to continue to give back and build to the community. And again, everything that we do rests on the five tenets, and Niagara Cloud Suite is no exception to that one. We give ease of deployment. We give you the ability to visualize your data and interoperability. Connectivity is key. Everything that we do, we make sure that we are keeping security in mind. So we always make sure that cyber defense is in play. And we also compliance. And one of the ways that we'll see a little bit further with the compliance part on where that fits in, but we make sure that everything we do is make sense, that we can stand behind it, and that it helps you be more compliant with any of the regulations that you might have. So I talked a little bit about those applications before. This is my view, the pieces of the cloud, right? So Niagara Data Service originally launched last January. And when we launched last January, we launched with the ability for you to have histories, that cloud historian, for you at least to be able to bring that data up into our cloud. And now you have a place to be able to have a secure way to access all that data and do whatever you want with that. But really, a lot of you were asking for that historian capability. So we gave that. Last January, it's been available since then. And now what we've done, and then of course, the third-party access. So I talked about our APIs. So some of you have already been testing and utilizing and have some things and projects in place where you're utilizing those APIs that we're making available through Niagara Data Service. And you're seeing already how it can help optimize your time, reduce some of your engineering time that you had before. That last one that you see in the red box, that is our latest release. That's what we're here for. Last week, we released the ability to have live read and write APIs. So that interactive real-time data, the ability to read live data, and then also make changes back all from the cloud. We have that available to you now through our cloud. Niagara Recover, we talked about that a little bit. That is our disaster recovery solution, a way for you to have our backups. Now it's gonna do way more in the future, but for right now, you don't have any limitations on storage space. You can keep up to 5 backups, and they can schedule and overwrite themselves for the most recent one. And you can identify one of those backups as your preferred backup, and it can always stay there. So it will never get overwritten unless you change the status of that one. And that ends up being a game changer again, because yes, everybody, I'm sure, has a way to be able to back up. But there's so many complexities in the way that you manage that, and sometimes only one person is keeping that. So if you backed it up and you put it to a thumb drive, I hope you really secure it. I hope that doesn't go bad. There's all the things that can happen. Well, this one, we're giving you a trusted way to be able to secure those backups. And it's accessible from anywhere. So any tech could leverage that backup as long as you've given them access to your Niagara Cloud portal. Now you have expanded it beyond just how you manage it one-on-one, and now you have a secure and highly accessible method of being able to secure and check on the status of those backups. And then remote, Niagara Remote just launched in February. That is our way for you to be able to log in directly to that Jace, that Soup, or whatever Niagara supported device is there, and you can log in, and it'll take away some of that urgency. If you want to know what's happening at a site, you want to do some troubleshooting before you go out there, you can do that. And then you can determine who's the best person to go. You don't always have to just roll the truck immediately, you could get some insights ahead of time. And so that is something that we know will be is a productivity savings for you. And we've been getting some good feedback from all of you guys that have been participating in the 90-day trial for both of those. The next service means that we're not stopping on just those. There's more to come. And we're using that by taking feedback from when we hear you guys, when you were at Niagara Summit, if we saw you at RealCom or any of the ControlsCon, any of the other shows that we go to where we get a chance to meet you. When you're talking to your sales rep, when you're in meetings with us at the product team, we're listening. We're listening to what you say. We're listening to where the technology trends are. We're looking at where the industry is going, and we're going to make sure that we continue to build out those things that help make life easier for you. And everything that we do is designed to simplify your journey to the cloud. And again, if we're building it, you don't have to, cybersecurity is at the top of our mind. So we'll always make sure that at whatever we're doing, that's the tenet of everything that we do. So cybersecurity is there for their protection. Now, we're going to deep dive today specifically on the newest feature in Niagara Data Service, which is the ability to access data via our live read and write APIs. But before we go down to that one, and before Kevin gives you a chance to do that, I want to, here's my approach for everything. What if this is your first time and you haven't heard about the details of what else any of these services do? You'll get it now. So you'll get to hear about some of the things that were already in Niagara Data Service, and then we're really going to focus on what we just released with these APIs, and then you might get a sneak peek into something that's already in the works. All right, so the if we want to break it into top 3 things that you get from Niagara Data Service, that API architecture. We enable that easy connection to that data that you put in our cloud via 3 third-party applications with our API architecture. That contextualized data, that's one of the, like I said, that's one of the main things that we launched back last January. Contextualized data that we make available so you can do your trend analysis. One of the things that people were doing with that, which is one of the reasons that we actually escalated that next feature, live read and write APIs, is that you were using that trend data. You were using that as a way to be able to feed your applications in there. And now we've made it even more reliable for you. We've allowed you to be able to access it at a much higher rate. And so that live read and write APIs that were made available last week, now you get to leverage that. And now you're not just reading that data, but you also get, if you're using it in the applications, you get to send changes back down. So the API architecture, again, the built-in APIs that are there, the one cloud storage location that allows for multiple third parties. That's not something that's really easy to be accomplished. And I know, the Niagara community are geniuses, that everybody's trying to solve these problems. And you might have thought of a lot of different ways to be able to solve that problem, but that is no easy feat. So we have allowed this. We have architecture in place. We have the solution in place that allows for you to make that easy for you. Again, the cyber defense, the benefit that you don't need additional gateway. And if you think about when something goes wrong, right, or even when you're installing, that extra step of having something there, in my former background as IT, we call that an extra point of failure. It doesn't have to be, but if you can accomplish a solution without an extra piece in the middle of it, that's a goal. That way you can have easier troubleshooting. It also could reduce some of the delays that come along with it. So there's a lot of benefits with reducing the additional hardware that will be required to be able to transmit data. And that one of the ways that we help address most of those IT concerns comes from the not needing that extra gateway in place. But then also, you don't have to worry about some of the managing of certificates yourself, because we're doing it for you. Let me move this. All right. Now, this is a user testimonial from Ellipsa, and I don't know if you've heard of them, but we actually had a Tridium talk with them before. They've been using Niagara Data Service and you see this quote that they have from them on how it really helped them in building out their solution. So by pushing the operational data from Niagara to the cloud, Tridium has simplified the acquisition and normalization process, allowing us to seamlessly integrate our AI-based intelligent building solutions in a fraction of time. So how many people on here are trying to build an AI-based intelligent building solution? How many people have been trying to figure out data normalization, how they get access to that data? Seamless is more than a notion. And we've been able to do that. And we have a testimonial right here from someone that has been able to leverage that. One of the other benefits that came from the last one, again, that contextualized data that you can use for trend analysis. It allows for the flexibility, so you can view those histories on demand from anywhere. And if you think about how long some of your systems might have been running, that's more than a notion. That's a lot. And if you were managing those databases on your own, then you know your IT people might be tired of you. They probably don't want to manage that. But now you have the ability to upload, store, and analyze all those Niagara histories already modeled, and we're providing that infrastructure for you. We've done a lot of that work already, and so you don't have to worry about that. You can just allow us to do it. We've helped you push the easy button, and now you have that path to do it. So it allows far more flexibility than it would have been before. And you want to get those histories off of those devices, especially those localized edge controllers, because that slows them down. So now you can increase the performance by offloading those histories into our cloud, and now it can focus on just performing. Compliance benefit. This has come up so many times. Who owns the data? You do. It's there. We have it available for you. It's stored for you, but it is your data. It's up to it's your discretion on how you utilize that data. Who gets access to that? We do not own your data. Now, here is the latest thing, some of the key benefits of that live read and write data via the APIs. So that flexibility and the speed, and we heard this from our beta participants. Every beta participant that we had that participated in those APIs, all of them talked about the flexibility and the speed of the data. They actually were a bit wowed by that. So they were feeding it into their own custom applications and reading that and testing it, and saw how much of a benefit that it was. So now you're able to receive and analyze that live data in your apps and push the changes in almost real time. So I'm gonna move to the side because I want you to see it in action. This is a visualization of kind of what that is if you think about it. So look on the end, whether it's an app or the users, AI, that's at the end, that's where it goes. On the other side of it is the Niagara system that happens. And you have your analytics apps that you want to use that you're delivering and serving to those customers. And we are providing all the smarts and pieces that you need to power those apps that you want to get to those end users and to AI. We have allowed for that to happen to you. So the next thing you'll see is everything that I just talked about in Niagara Data Service. You're going to see it in action. Kevin Mamajek is going to show you some of the things that he's cooked up on his own, learned along the way, and you get to see what the benefit of and how easy it is for you to be able to do some of the same things that he did and more.
That on? Can you hear me? Perfect. All right. Okay, so I get to show you all the cool things that the developers put together. So kind of like I like to use it as the cooking instructor, right? So I get to use all the tools that they put together and kind of explain this to you in a very high level. I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night so that I could talk APIs this morning. But I'm going to kind of cover it in a high overview, show you some things that I've done in another cloud application that calls this, and kind of get your thinking on how this hybrid cloud thing works. So just in my demo today, I've got a couple JASes. I've got them in different locations. They're all connected to Niagara Cloud Suite. So you can see I've got the service running on 2 JASE 8s and a JASE 9 that will be part of this demo. The first one is in my home office, which I am not at. I'm at the office today. So it is in my home office. It is behind 2 routers because I don't trust my cable company's router. So it's very secure. The only thing that's going out of my office, home office, which is the basement or the barn, is an outbound connection across 443, which is HTTPS. And then I have two JSONs that are in a lab inside of our company, which is isolated in two different places, and it's doing the same thing. One outbound connection that creates that connection that I'm going to start to utilize for both data and live commands. So when you talk IT, they don't like to see ports open on the firewalls. They just want web traffic, which is HTTPS. This all complies with that. So I don't have to do anything special to any of the firewalls to open up anything, which is what IT doesn't want. So what I'm also going to do is when I show you this, I'm going to essentially remote in. So I'm using Niagara's remote service to actually watch the JACE in the, kind of the stack as I give that demo. All right, so keep that in mind that everything I do here is going through this architecture. I'm just using a browser to start and show you my slides. So I'm using Microsoft's cloud. I'm going to use the browser then to use Grafana in the cloud to show you the APIs, and then I'm using remote to actually watch that device at the house or at the office change. Okay, and for I have this light stack in my office that when I'm present, it's green, and if it goes yellow, I've either fallen asleep or I've left the office. So I'm going to show you how that gets triggered from the cloud with the live command. All right, so that's the architecture. I've got some BACnet, I've got some IP stuff that are connected to devices, but Grafana is where I'm going to kind of focus on, because this was a graphing tool that I didn't have to program any graphing graphs. I just needed to understand how to use our APIs to pull the data out of Niagara Cloud Suite. So you've probably seen this before. In the previous demo, I have a bunch of data that is coming into the cloud. If we look at the API here for this one, it's going up, and again, I'm just using the tools here. It's calling up and saying, hey, go get this point. This is an ID identification of a point inside my JACE. And I figured out, James Johnson showed me this cool thing where I can actually use the time range of Grafana. So those are variables. And then I take this a little far and I create more variables, but you'll see. But this one, I had this gauge that always had a number, but it would go get a data set. So if you looked at this data set, I would grab the last one, which is it's still valid case, right? I can say, go give me the history for the last 24 hours. The last value is 15 minutes old, but display it here. And that's how I did that. But we had a lot of folks that are like, I really need to know what the value is now at the moment I ask. I don't want to look at the history. I don't want to know it's 15 minutes old. I want to know what it is now. And so part of reading and writing is understanding what that value is at the moment. So these when I ask for the data set, it comes from Niagara's Cloud Suite historian. So it's doing a query to say, give me that history for that point, and it's going to hand me a table of all that data. What I'm going to show you now is we're actually going to talk to the cloud to say, hey, I need the live value of that point. It's then going to talk to the JACE and say, I need the live value of that point. The JACE is going to give it to them and then pass it back up to the API for me to display. So this is where the cloud can work in hybrid and actually reach down into that JACE to get that information, JACE or supervisor. All right, so I've built this kind of dashboard to get me there. So each one of these are calls to actually get the values as of the moment that I open that page up, right? So I can refresh it and we'll go get more. I've got a history just to show you that I've been messing with it this morning. But here's the APIs that I want to kind of walk you through. And by the way, on that demo slide, docs@niagaracommunity.com, there's an API guide. This is your map, right? So when I go and show programmers, especially if they do cloud programming and JSON calls and all those good things, I will slow them down if I don't give them this guide. because they can look over and go, oh, I get it, and they're done, right? So that's very important for you to understand that it's there. So that's all the calls and what you expect from them, how to get your secure token and all that good stuff. I'm just kind of giving you the high level of, okay, here's this API. I'm going to pass it this cloud ID, all right? And I want that value to come back to me. So if we look at this particular point, the only thing I'm going to do here is point out that, oh, this one I didn't. I actually didn't use a variable, but that's the cloud ID I want. And that's the value it's going to get back to me. So at that point in time, when I call the control channel, and let me show you one other thing here. This is what's kind of cool. Our service, prior to us releasing read write, did not have a command channel. We added that to the back end, and the service said, oh, I now have access to commands, and it self-provisioned that channel. So this channel shows up, and that allows me then to actually ask for a points value, and then I'm going to show you I can actually override that points value all from an API in the cloud. Okay, and there's one little thing here I'll try to end with, which is, oh, that's a channel that's not there either. So that's a upcoming feature. All right, so let's go back to this panel. Let's look at the code. Let's go ahead and just go ahead and refresh the page and have it go out and get those live values. So each one of these blocks has the appropriate cloud ID. It's now communicating to the cloud. The cloud is then turning around and talking to the command channel inside that particular JACE to get those values of humidity, temperature, and CO2. And if you look at my other example here, this is an example of a weather station that I have running on that first one at my house, right? So here are the histories for wind, outside temperature, humidity, rainfall. Here's the pressure. Everything on the right side are live values. I wanted to know what the actual temperatures were at the moment. And then I have all this equipment that has information like its battery level, whether it's connected to the Wi-Fi network, whether it is raining or it's not raining. All of those are live reads. I don't need to track histories on those. Okay, so that's a little bit about reading. Now what I'm going to do is kind of show you how to write. So essentially, I'm going to use a different API, and I'm going to say that I want to write a value. I'm going to give it the point that I want to write to. I'm going to give it the value that I'm writing, and then I'm going to give it a duration. And if you've used Niagara, you know that you can override points for, permanently or for 15 minutes. This follows that same structure so that a cloud, which is analyzing data, could say, you know what, I'm going to override this point for 5 minutes, and I'm going to watch the other points. And if it resolves itself, I'm going to make it a little longer, right? Make it work for the day. So this is an important request that we were getting, that when we have all this stuff in the cloud and we're able to create this hybrid environment, it would be nice if the cloud could actually tell Niagara, can you change this? Can you override this and place in a value? So that's where we are going with that, and that's what I'm going to show you here. So in my demo here, I wanted everything to be away from as much of the actual API text, but I'll get you that. So this screen is designed so that if I go and change anything and refresh it, it actually is going to do a physical write to the point itself. And you'll see down there that if we look at this one, I said, let's write 150 at priority 11 for 1 minute. And if you look at that point, it's coming in 11 at 150. And then if we just wait long enough, that's going to undo itself. The priority or the override is going to remove itself. So at this point, I've actively have other logic, and then depending on the priorities, the cloud can actually do overrides to influence that particular point on adjusting it to what it needs to do. And then it rolls back off as soon as that priority is done. So of course, when you try to wait for a whole minute, it won't go, but trust me, it will work. So I'll show you something a little different. So let's go and look at the world of what the developer might see, right? This is more what I talk to and send to the cloud, right? And so this is the stuff that you're not seeing, or it's hidden in Grafana that's there. But I'm going to just go ahead and send a request to the cloud to go and get the light stack settings, or what the current lights are. So of course, my background's, turn this on. So maybe, yeah, there it's a little better, right? So this light stack, the green light is on. So if you look at the code on the screen, you'll see that the red one, this is red, and we went in here. So this is red light, yellow light, green light, and came back and said, all right, the first one was false, so red's off, the green is false, or the yellow's false, and the green is true, right? So that was the current state of this light. If I come over here and I say, all right, let's go and turn on the yellow light and the red light, so all of them are on, I'm going to go ahead and send that command. And you'll see that it now has, oh, where'd it go? No, no, no. There we go. Oh, darn. I lost my moment. So they came on. So you'll see that it successfully sent an override to turn on the red light and successfully sent an override to turn on the yellow light. So now all of the lights are on. If I go back and ask it to read, right, the stack and say refresh, you'll go back and you'll see that all of them are going to be true. So it took those overrides. It also said, right, with context, it was overridden and what port and things of that nature. So those are also cool things that you can do with the read write. So part of, again, the NDS is ever evolving. We wanted to make sure that we have more context that are up there in the cloud. And one of the requests we got were alarms. So once we got the read right, I could start to acknowledge alarms in the cloud. So think of that. So now we'll have the ability to look at a point, see if it's an alarm, see those alarms, and acknowledge those alarms. So this is forward thinking, forward looking. That I have to say that because of the legal team, but this is what will be in our next beta, and it adding more and more of that functionality of that hybrid edge to cloud connectivity and allowing those two to work in unison. So with that, I will turn it back to Nicole.
Thank you, Kevin. And you are forgiven for giving a sneak peek of alarm. One second. All right. So if you've seen all the great things that Kevin just showed about Niagara Data Service, then you'll see that all of these advantages, I think you might agree with all of them. We made easy integration. We've allowed for the automatic detection and sending the historical data. You saw a lot on the usage of the APIs, and he talked about the archive history provider. And then you saw examples of that contextualized data and how we were able to read but also make changes to some of those. So if you saw it and you are intrigued and you haven't had a chance to do it yet, then you could do a 45-day evaluation of Niagara Data Service. If you scan that QR code, it will bring up an evaluation form. You fill out that evaluation form, you submit it, and our ordering team across the world will take your evaluation form, evaluate what it is that you sent in, and let you know whether or not you're approved. There's a couple of things that you have to think about with that one. For evaluations, then you're good, but you do want to be on one of the more current versions of the framework. So this isn't your opportunity to try and have 412. You need to be on one of those more supported versions of Niagara to start it out. And then once you do that, we'll get you set up. You identify who your admin is, and then you can start playing with those APIs. We do have some UI in there, but I think that from what you saw today, it'll be primarily the APIs until the next release that we have that's going to have that UI for the alarms interface. So if by chance you are interested and you've been looking for a way to be able to help better feed the alarm data into your application, or you want to determine and leverage that scalability that comes from allowing your alarms to come into a cloud alarm console, then maybe you want to participate in beta. You can reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn. My email is pretty easy to find as well, nicole.love@tridium.com. And we can put you on our list of people to reach out to when it comes time for beta. We'll also be sending a notification out for that one. So if you don't get your Tridium emails, then you definitely should make sure that you sign up to be able to receive those, because we send all that out via email. You also should see LinkedIn posts about those as well, but we want to make sure that you're informed. And at the rate that we're making changes and adding new features into the cloud, I want to make sure that you guys are well plugged in so that you can leverage those as soon as possible. So I've left this up here enough times for you to grab your phone and scan it. And so I'm hoping that by the end of this, I'll see some requests for some evaluations. We'd be glad to let you give it a spin. So let's talk more about Niagara resources, just a few of them. One, if you have taken our Niagara Data Service training before, or if you haven't, it actually has been updated. So every time that we add new features and functionality to any of our products, we update the training that's on Tridium University. And so we have a updated version of the Niagara Data Service training. You can scan that QR code and it'll want you to log in, and then you'll be able to see that. Or you can just go to Tridium University and search for Niagara Data Service, and you can find it there. Now, there's more than Niagara Data Service training there. So if you have not had a chance to look at our Niagara Cloud Suite training that talks about all the products, there's a Niagara Recover training. There's also a Niagara Remote training. So in Tridium University, you can get an overview of all those products right there at your fingertips and whenever you want to. Now, if this is your first Tridium Talk, or you missed some of the other ones, I don't know if you've noticed, but Tridium Talks is in a different spot on our page. Of course, they do get synced to our YouTube channel, so you might get it there. But if you are typically used to looking at it on our website, it now has a new way to navigate that. So you'll see in the top right, that is, this is an example of a Tridium website. And so you see where you can find Tridium Talks. You don't have to dig as deep to go there. And so from there, you'll get a chance to look at, and you can go listen to some of our previous Tridium Talks, like leveraging Niagara Data Service in the cloud, leveraging Niagara Data in the cloud with Niagara Data Service, or the one I referred to where we showed the power of Niagara Data Service with Alexa. That one was a well-attended one, great feedback on that one. It might inspire you to do some different things from that one. You want to find out about Niagara Recover, there's a Tridium Talk on that one. There's one for remote. You can find quite a few Tridium Talks on Niagara Cloud Suite in general on there. But of course, Tridium Talks are more than just about cloud. So you can go look at any of the previous ones we did. Kevin just had one a few weeks ago where he was talking about brick. So go look at the new location, go learn some between Tridium University and Tridium Talks, and your Tridium representative, your account manager or your Niagara partner. There's a wealth of knowledge out there. We're always building great things. We're always doing things to help you guys be able to go to the next level. We want to make sure that you're fully aware of what those things are, and then you know that you have the ability to access those things. So if any of those products sounded like something you're interested in, you want to do evaluation, that QR code that I gave you was there. You also can access it on our website. There is under the products page, Niagara Cloud Suite. You can go there and get any information that you want on Niagara Cloud Suite. So hopefully this gave you some ideas. Hopefully you feel informed about the latest release we had. You got a sneak peek into one of the next things to come. And so we look forward to hearing from you guys and seeing you in our next Tridium Talk. Have a great day.